The majority of our life is lived in liminal space.
And there's this in-between space, this liminal space.
This liminality that reveals possibility.
I think we're in a liminal moment, but also in a place of transformation.
I have great affection for the church and a troubled relationship with it.
Just to be alive in time means that we're on the threshold of the future.
That can't be the gospel, because God said to love our neighbors.
We don't know what the future looks like. We have to work it out together.
Well, we're doing 3 other songs, and one of them we always wanted to highlight one you wrote, and so we have "What Are We Afraid Of" is the song that we're gonna cover today that you wrote. Yes. So what's the story behind this song? How did it come to be?
Well, I'm feeling there's a. I've realized as we've done now a third song that I've written, there's a common theme here.
Yes, there is.
And it's some unfortunate, terribly tragic, unfortunate event that happens. And this song came about after the events of October 7th. Forgive me, 2023. Was it 2020?
I do not remember the year.
I think it was 2023, unfortunately.
Everything just happened a little while ago because I'm at that age now, so I can't remember the years.
So, in that moment from a distance, the tragedy and horror of that event was very hard to take in. A lot of lives lost. And then kind of when the story came out, I think anybody who's paid any attention to the tragedy of that region, the plight of the folks that are living specifically in Gaza, you kind of knew what was going to happen. Mm-hmm. And I think this song was heavy on my mind, and watching the news and kind of hoping that there would be some type of intervention coming from the United States, which there hasn't really been of any substance, a lot of finger waving. And unfortunately, I don't want to get into it, but I think it has more to do with the tide of public sentiment. The whole story surrounding that being critical of a government, doing something to a group of people, which I think Amnesty International maybe 10 years ago called a spade and called what was happening genocide. Mm-hmm. They called it that now, but they referred to that situation as apartheid, similar to what happened in South Africa. So, paying attention to that issue and then kind of knowing what the response was going to be, and then just thousands of people have lost their lives. And when you consider, I think there's an estimate that something like 50% of the Gaza's population is under the age of 18. That's, take whatever the number is anybody agrees on that have died, cut that in half. That's those thousands of children who've lost their lives. And it baffles me to state an objective fact that this is happening, this has happened, and then somehow you can't say that. Mm-hmm. It's unbelievable. So anyway, the song came about. There was a story that popped up on some feed I was following where there was a Palestinian poet, I think within the first couple months after the initial incident on October 7th, who he and his family were killed in a bombing raid. And he was vocally, he was posting his works, his poetry, and speaking out about what was happening, and he was tragically killed. And that was kind of the moment where I thought, you kind of sit back we sit in in the safety of distance, geography where we are.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to deal with that level of violence. We're so sheltered in that regard. And you're just like, what is going on? Why are we still doing this? And essentially the title, why are we so afraid of each other? What are we afraid of?
Mm-hmm.
It's just disappointing. I can't think of a better word than disappointing. It's just disappointing. I'm disappointed in my fellow humans.
Yeah. I don't know if I said this last time or not, but it just kind of came out on a Sunday morning when I was, I think I was talking through the book of Colossians on Sunday, which is not like me because normally I stick with the Gospels, but then I'm like, I need to do something else because, ADHD and all. So I'm like diving into Colossians, and there's a lot of like finger wagging passages that are in there that fundamentalists love to adopt and then use as weapons against people who are not acting like them or valuing what they do, and say, well, this is the Christian way of doing things. But I noticed like Paul is saying stuff like you need to clothe yourself with kindness and compassion, and we look at how Colossians is a response to the Roman Empire, like not just here's a bunch of morals that you Christians got to obey because you're Christians, but like these are the ethics that hold your community together while you're being oppressed by a large national force of the Roman government. And you kind of look through that lens of Colossians, and it helps make things make a little bit more sense. But one of the things, like it says, steer clear of anger and wrath and harsh language and abusive vocabulary and all this other stuff. And it's supposed to be like, and instead embrace these things, and it gives these virtues. And I was like, if you look at Paul's critique of the Roman Empire, he takes the things that empire values and tells this community of people, steer away from anger and wrath and malice and all these other things. But those are the things that the Roman Empire valued. That's how they enforce things. Like, don't question us or the hammer comes down. And anger and wrath of the Roman Empire was like Paul is saying, don't do those things. And then this phrase just came out. I'm like, when you see something horrible on television, the news or whatever, and your immediate, I hope this happens to the perpetrator or whatever, that is what you have faith in to make the world right. And Paul is saying the empire embraces violence and anger and wrath and all that stuff, and I want you to not do that because that's not what sets the world right. And you look at it through that lens, and it totally changes how you read Paul. He's trying to get these small communities to be reverse representations of empire, not send all the resources to the top, but organize yourselves in a way that sends the resources to the bottom, the least of these kind of a thing. And whatever he's saying, when you look at, the things around you, the injustices around you, and you want to respond with anger or wrath, or that's what you believe will set the world right. That's what you have faith in. And he's saying our faith comes from something higher up, something above that. And you start decoding all of the fundamentalist language out of it, and then you look at it as a critique to empire violence, and you're like, holy cow, how come nobody ever taught me this before? They're just using it to enforce the empire. Now we have Christian wrath and Christian anger, and we will make sure that, we put everyone in their place and dominate. And it's that's just empire. That's just empire baptized in Christian language. And we want to be the dominant manipulating force. And we have faith that violence will set things right instead of faith in the self-sacrificial love of the one that we put our faith in. And it's boy, that turns the whole book of Colossians on its head for me. And it's on display every time Christians respond to modern day things and be like, oh, we should turn the whole place into a sheet of glass, or we need to bomb them, or we need to, it's that's what you have faith in right there to set the world right.
Yeah. And I think added to that, as part of this tune, I think the specific interpretation of the essentially what fundamentalists would refer to as the end times.
Oh yeah,
this idea of self-fulfilled prophecy.
Oh,
and trying to bring about the end of the world. So this, we have to have this support.
This is literally
of this.
what they're doing.
Yeah, literally. It's just craziness because I can't remember the exact year, but I listened to a really great audio book on the Munster Rebellion, and I would say like every group, there's always been groups throughout history who feel like it's their lifetime, and guess what? Unless we're living in that, unless it happened and we don't know.
Yeah.
They were all wrong. So it's always like, that's my first question to anybody who brings that up. Like, what makes you think you're right? And, that's the funny part of it. The sad part is you set aside your ethic and moral to essentially help this or hasten this to happen for your own selfish benefit, essentially.
Yeah.
Maybe because you don't want to die. Maybe you want to be called up in the clouds while you're still alive. Who knows? But it really comes down to your own selfish wants and desires.
Yeah.
At the expense of innocent people who get killed. And children. Innocent children who get killed. And it's disappointing.
Yeah. It's like there's no principle behind the action. It's just, well, if we partner with this, then we get this out of it. And the lack of any principle I'm seeing in so many of the Christians who are just so excited about everything that's going on right now in the government. It's really disheartening to say we're trading principles and ethics to achieve what we would like to see politically. And that's what Jesus meant when he said, what happens if you gain the whole world and lose your soul in the process? And it's like, we're just watching it now happen. So
it's happening.
Yeah.
And, we got to do all these things because, there's another, I think we talked about it last time. God needs our help, which I find that really funny. Your God needs your help.
Yeah, our God needs a savior. Unfortunately, that's how we're acting. Yeah. Well, let's play this song and
let's give it a go.
And give it a go. I got to remember how to play it.
Okay.
Swimming up a waterfall backwards, getting nowhere fast. One foot in front of the other, always ending up last. This time we'll break on through. And then we hear the drums of war. That siren song pulls us closer in. Are we fighting for? Oh no. What are we afraid of? The sun and the stars above, the moon in its reflection. What are we afraid of? The ones who don't look like us, we turn their lives back to dust. Are we afraid of love? Are we afraid of love? Waiting on that angel to come end it all, as if that's when we realize what all this living's for. There's nothing mystical about the ground on which we stand. There's nothing magical in the killing of another man. What are we afraid of? The sun and the stars above, the moon in its reflection. What are we afraid of? The ones who don't pray like us, we turn their lives back to dust. Are we afraid of love? Are we afraid of love? There's no chosen, only those we abandon. Why is that so hard to imagine? There's no chosen, only those we abandon. Why do we fear? What can set us free? Bird in a cage, cut down, never to sing again. Only his words remain to tell us how we could live.
That is a good one, man. I like that one a lot.
Thank you.
That, what, tell me about that last, like the closing lines. Another bird in a cage, cut down, never to sing again. Only his words remain to tell us how we could live.
Well, that's, like I was saying, that's the line, kind of the homage to the Palestinian poet and anybody else. All the lives lost, like a bird in a cage. I mean, these people are born into, I'm not saying it, other organizations have said it, an open air prison. They don't have a choice. The kids that are born in that situation, they don't have a choice. They don't have a way out. And yeah, they live in a cage. So, so, the words written, the words that remain, that's all that we have left of these people who are killed. If they wrote anything, in some cases, entire families are gone, and it's just so tragic. that's a tough one. That's a tough one to sing. I didn't really. It kind of hit me today. You know, it's like one of those songs where you write it, it comes out, you find it, it comes out, and you kind of wish. I wish there was some other inspiration for a tune, but it's just. I feel like we have to call a spade a spade. It is what it is, and I think we have a responsibility in our comfort to do what we can, speak our minds, speak our voices, and we know that that's not a popular thing to do right now in this country, because you'll get labeled as this, that, and the other thing. But you know, I'm on the side of human life. I'm on the side of people, of the innocence that we are destroying in the name of whatever. Yeah.
Killing in the name of.
Killing in the name of. Yeah. Like, you know. So